Hello, people. It's the boy Usmaan back again with another match preview. Manchester United taking on AC Milan in the game which is titled The Falling Giants. Listen, when I was younger, obviously, this was a game that I was dreading. Man United facing AC Milan was one of those games. You didn't want to play AC Milan because Kaka was doing a madness back in those days, and it was always a nightmare for us Man United fans. But nonetheless, we're going to this as favourites. We're going to this with a bit of promise, but as always, we're going to be discussing all things Manchester United. Get your comments in, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. But without further ado, let me introduce you to today's panel. On my left, we got a homie, Keen. What you say, brother?
I'm very good, Usmaan. Thanks very much for having me on. It's great to be on the show, and it's great to meet the two lads as well. And let's get started.
100%. Thank you for coming on. Obviously, listen, make sure you show love to all our guests in the chat as well. Down below me, we got the regular, we got a homie. Obviously, check out his preview, just done a preview as well on his channel, United Team Talk. We got the homie, Jerry. What you saying, bro?
Yeah, all good, man. Obviously, the news today, we're going to go into that. But, yeah, man, it's something to look forward to. And we're in kind of good form, I'll say. So, yeah, man, tomorrow should be a... Well, obviously, the derby win makes it just feel a bit better. So, let's go, man.
Okay, say no more. Okay, I'll let the boys decide if we're in good form or not. But last but not least, to introduce the homie who was recommended by good friend Bob's. Listen, I was a massive thank you as well coming in lastminute.com. Can we all welcome Ibrahim to the stream? How are you, Ibrahim?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Thank you for having me on here. I'm excited. Big game tomorrow. Yeah, I think we'll get the win, but yeah, we'll get into it.
Yes, you love to see it. Like I said, make sure you show love to everyone on the stream as always. Anyways, there's only one place ready to start. The news at 12 o'clock. The news that most Manchester United fans have been waiting for. We finally got a technical director of football. I was just into the lads prior to the stream. I forgot his name. I know is it John Moto? That's completely wrong. I know I'm butchering his name, but you know what I'm talking about. Of course, we know his assistant, so to speak, Darren Fletcher. Manchester United great legend, whatever you want to call it. Keith, we'll come to you first and foremost. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, some saying, United fans are always moaning, for asking for director of football. They're like, no, not that one. But where do you sit with it? Do you think it's a step in the right direction, or do you think this isn't what we obviously want a director of football? Of course we do, but the personnel isn't what we want. Or how do you feel?
I think when you look at the director of football appointment, obviously, I think United fans probably would have wanted an external appointment rather than an internal appointment. I think it's probably, in the eyes of United fans, it probably looks like a cop out. That's people who are already within the club, getting new titles internally, and it's kind of maintaining the status quo. In saying that, though, looking at the work that Murtaugh has done, and with the likes of the women's team, Joe, he's working very closely with Casey Stoney, and he's done fantastic work there in such a short space of time. Building that team there. He's worked closely, in terms of building in through the youth development scheme as well at United at the moment. So when you look at it that way, you can see maybe why he's brought into a director of football role. However, you would still be skeptical because that he's been there within the last 7 years. He's brought in January 2014 under David Moyes. You'd call into question why 7 years later is he only getting this so significant appointment now? There's two arguments to it. I think as Man United fans, I would just reiterate, I think we probably would have preferred maybe a Paul Mitchell, someone like that who is a well-renowned director of football coming in, to maybe spice it up a bit. But all in all, I think you have to look at this situation and maybe give it 12 to 18 months, see how it gets structured, and then we can maybe say whether it works out or not.
Yeah, no, I think you made some very good points there in terms of, the first point that you made. A lot of United fans wanted someone exterior. It's kind of almost like, all your mates are getting jobs kind of to an extent. Of course, as you alluded to, he came under David Moyes 2014 season. He's been at the club for a long time. From what I've read of him, I'm not going to lie, when his name was first announced, I wasn't aware of what his role was within the club. I knew he was at the club, but I didn't know much about him. So as I'm sure most of us have, did a bit of research. And to be fair to him, he has done very good work within the academy, most noticeably helping the sort of passage of Rashford, Greenwood, Scott McTominay, Williams. So players that are within the first team. So he has somewhat done quite a lot for the club already in that sense. For me personally, I think I'm in a reserve judgment on him. Obviously, I'll ask you guys, but I'm in a reserve judgment because you can't really say much about him because he's not even had the opportunity to do anything. So I'll pass it to you, Jerry. How do you look at it? Do you think it's a matter of, we should have went for someone more experienced, someone that's, been there, got that pedigree, so to speak? You've seen with the coaching staff, the likes of Carrick, McKenna, not the most experienced coaching staff. Do you feel like it kind of falls under that bracket again, or do you think it's let's see what you can do sort of thing?
Yeah, when you break it down like that, obviously when the news broke out, obviously I see the picture first. United appoint new directors. Okay, I was like, this is out of the blue. And then to see he's been promoted internally, I was like, when I read that sentence, I was thinking, okay, continue to read down. He was the head of football development, like you said, brought through, helped break through with Rashford, Greenwood, Williams, Scott. So I said he's got some pedigree, but for me, it's a good direction to go into because we've never had a director of football. So for him to get that role, I'm reserving judgment. I'm going to give him a chance, but the thing that really worries me is the Matt Judge. When I read that sentence and saying he's the chief, head of contract negotiations, that's scary.
That's worrying.
He's been there. He's been Ed Woodward's right hand man for years now, and for him to officially have that title now is scary, man. Him giving Phil Jones the new contract, he brokered the Sanchez wages, giving De Gea 375.
He's literally the structure of the
that's what I'm
single-handedly.
He's still there. So for me, it's like, okay, we're going in this, obviously, Darren Fletcher with the technical side and football operations. But if that Matt Judge guy is still there, I don't know if obviously we're gonna see. Like, I'm waiting to see, but I'm not that optimistic, to be honest, man.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's understandable. Obviously, that's two ways of looking at it. Ibrahim, you've heard what the guys have said. You've heard what I've said. What are your thoughts on the situation? Are you more on the side of, look, we finally got someone. Ed Woodward is relinquished of those duties. Surely it can't be worse than Ed Woodward.
I think there's obviously positives and negatives to it. Obviously, we've never had a director of football, and obviously all the fans have been screaming out, "Oh, we need someone who can direct the football." But on the other hand, it seems like Ed Woodward's now have someone to shift the blame onto. Obviously, with Matt Judge in that position, now Ed Woodward's not going to get the blame from the fans. He shifted it onto obviously Matt Judge. Darren Fletcher has been promoted. It seems like we're just trying to keep it all in-house, and I'm not too sure at the moment if it's going to work. Obviously, we need to give it time, but having all in-house, I don't know if it'll work in the long run.
Yeah, no, I hear that point. I think that's kind of where a lot of United fans are sitting in terms of, we'll see what happens in the long run. In the meantime, it's just a weird situation, like in terms of, you think a club of United such, again, this isn't me knocking them because they've got no body of work for us to actually judge them on. But you think you'd go for the best available people. A lot of people, like you said, Phil Mitchell is a good, standpoint. Like the people who have credibility or have been in the game. It's like what we did with Oli. Okay, granted, people can say what they want about him, but he did have 10 years worth of experience as a coach or as a manager at least. You see with Arsenal, they've thrown in Arteta in the deep end, first job, and you see the sink or swim it. Can we really be, as a club, taking that much of a gamble with our transfers when we're spending so much money? It's going to shape the future of the club for foreseeable. You've seen under Woodward for such a long period how much of a sort of mess it's been, with the likes of Schneiderlin and all these kind of players coming in. You're still having to clean that mess. But Keane, in terms of we haven't even mentioned Fletcher, to be fair. In terms of Fletcher, just before we move on, Darren Fletcher, of course, that is. What are your thoughts on his appointment?
I think when you look at it, I think what Ollie's done since he's come in, he's got people in who've known the club. Obviously, some Mike Phelan, Michael Carrick, Kieran McKenna. Ollie wanted to obviously follow that model, and those when we actually talked a couple of weeks ago with regards to United's coaching staff, and we said we'd like to see someone from the outside come in with regards to it. Now, apparently Fletcher is very good in terms of having an eye for a young player. in terms that people have been saying that, since he's come in, he's done great work though with the academy, and in kind of short space of time that he's come in, and kind of the technical director role he's going to be having now, he's going to be overseeing kind of the link between the first team and the academy. So if he's doing that job and he can maybe do something similar to what Nicky Butt's done in a similar that role Nicky Butt's done in terms of head of academy, that may benefit him. Now, obviously, he's not going to be coming in and he's not going to be negotiating deals, Darren Fletcher. He's not going to be going in, on that side of things. But in terms of overseeing what's needed in terms of the academy and the first team, it mightn't be such a bad thing in terms that he can identify what epitomises a Manchester United player in terms of the DNA of the club. But again, it just remains to be seen because, again, it's been kept in-house. Will that necessarily be right? I think we'll have to see that over the test of time, whether it is or not.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm a bit more optimistic with the Darren Fletcher appointment, I've got to be honest. I think we do need United DNA, and that a lot of people kind of get it sort of misquoted. Oh, it's all United DNA, but I think in that his role is very important because he understands what it takes to make it at the club, and also he understands what kind of level of football we should be playing. So I like the fact that he's a link between the academy. So I think that's a positive for me personally. But listen, let's move on from both individual roles. Let's talk about some of the players. As I mentioned, there's been quite a lot of speculation surrounding two of our probably most prominent players, Cavani and Bruno Fernandez. We'll start with the Cavani situation because I feel like it's probably not as long. Look, we'll come to you first and foremost, Jerry. What are your thoughts on the whole rumour circulating regarding Cavani? I don't know if it's even true what his dad said or not, but apparently his dad has said that he wants to be playing for trophies, he wants to be closer to home, he wants to go back to Boca Juniors, yada, yada. I don't follow Boca Juniors regularly, so I don't even know if they're still a good team or not. But yeah, Jerry, what are your thoughts on the Cavani thing?
Yeah, obviously his father's chatting in it. He said, was it 60% he might return to South America? For me, I think that's absolute BS. A player of that quality to still be playing for a big club like Manchester United at his age, I think he would be stupid to just turn that away. If United offer him a contract, I'm pretty sure he will accept gladly. To be 35, he will still have the iconic number 7 shirt. Sorry, yeah, man. I think it's too much. It's been blown out of proportion for me, man. I think obviously he posted on Instagram that he's proud to wear the shirt. I heard Oli today speaking about it, that they're looking to, the contract ain't been offered, but I think when it gets closer to the end of the season, and normally we do the extra option with most contracts. So for me, it's a no-brainer.
We did with the Gala, didn't we? So.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a no-brainer. He's going to be here next season, and if we do get an additional striker, we need options. Like we've got Martial, Mason, Rashford, Cavani, and another one where they can all play. Some can play on the left, some can play on the right. I think, yeah, man. I think we're keeping him, man, and I'll be happy to see him stay, man. He's contributed not a lot, but he's actually contributed to where we are today. I mean, the goals from the Southampton goals, the Fulham goal, like he's actually played a part. So for me, man, the dad's just, I don't know what the dad's what he's doing, but yeah, man, Cavani to stay for me.
Okay, fair enough. Ibrahim, what do you reckon regarding the comments, and just obviously to add to that, would you keep him personally? Whether his dad is telling the truth or not, would you personally keep him as well if you were in charge?
I think the comments from his dad, it's a bit weird how his dad comes out with these comments and then obviously the next day Cavani then posts a picture. But I think with Cavani, as Jerry said, his talent is still world class, and going to South America would be a waste of his talent. I think maybe in a few seasons' time he can go retire in South America, but at the moment he could potentially be a starter for Man U, and obviously if not, he's got the quality to come off the bench and provide. So I think staying at Man U for next season would be a great option for us with the squad depth, and obviously getting in another striker is what we need. Yeah, and Cavani is a top quality striker, and even what he does to teach the other players like Greenwood, he's learning more and more about the movement in the box, getting in the right positions, and I think we don't have a striker like that at the moment in the club. Yeah. Martial, he's a left wing / striker. Rashford is a left wing, but he's a striker. Yeah. He's not a creative left wing; he's a goal scoring winger.
Yeah.
And having Cavani in the club, even though he might not speak a lot of English, he's still teaching the younger players, even Martial, how to play in that role.
Yeah, no, I think you've hit the nail on the head there in terms of what he can pass down to the other players. I think they interviewed Greenwood, might have been Rio Ferdinand actually. Asked him, how's it like training with Cavani? I think he said something along the lines of, he doesn't speak a word of English, but I just watch him. And you would, at that age, watch his movement, as you mentioned. They're going to get more from him than they'll probably get from any other player. Because, of course, if they wanted to play in that number 9 role, I think it's so integral to have those kind of players within the squad, especially for the younger players. Like, Keane, where do you sit? Do you think it's a bit of an indictment that Man United is still relying on someone of his age? Do you think we should look to get rid of him and get someone in of, I don't want to say younger age, but potentially someone who can offer us more in the long run?
I think it's probably the best that we do keep him next season and extend that option for the extra year. I think like you have striker players like Greenwood, Martial, Rashford, like the lads just mentioned there. Yeah. They're players who can learn off him and feed off him. And I'll even go a bit further with that. I think you look at the strikers in the 23s and the 18s like Joe Hugill and Charlie McNeil, 2 players who are highly, highly talented and highly, highly thought of at the club. Yeah. And get them in around the first team and to get around Edison Cavani. So he'd be a fountain of knowledge in terms of looking at his movement and how he carries himself and how he trains. I think for the sake of that, for the extra season and squad depth, I think it'd be absolutely good from our side to keep him. And then definitely, I think in the summer 2022, with that release clause for Erling Haaland is there, you go all out and you go out and get him if he doesn't sign for another club this summer. But kind of looking at the thing that his dad done in terms of, putting up that post saying he's not happy. When you actually look at players similar to his age who are South American, they do tend to actually go home to see out the twilight of their careers. Diego Forlan done it. He left Atletico Madrid, when he was kind of in and around that age, just not too long after the 2010 World Cup, and he finished out his career there, and he left at kind of similar age. Look at Luis Suarez. He's with Atletico now. He always talks about going to back home to finish out his career. So it's not, I suppose, mad that they do, like players from that part of the world, South America, do it, because we have seen it in the past. Like Ronaldinho went back to Brazil and finished out his career not long after his time at AC Milan. So when you actually look at that and you look at his age, it's not abnormal for it to happen. So if he does leave next season, regardless of the contract United offer him, I can get it that he's still good enough to play for United. But sometimes, players maybe in that twilight of the career, they'd rather see it out at home. And obviously he has his history of Boca Juniors there, and apparently he wants to win a title with them before he retires. So I can understand from that point of view. If he does leave United this season, and why in that regard.
Yeah, no, I think again you made fantastic points. I do think, from his perspective, obviously, you guys kind of alluded to his dad's comments and, Cavani's personal post the day after. It's interesting because when I see Cavani's post, I was thinking, oh, well, surely it means he's staying. But if you think about it, why would his dad actually make those comments if there weren't any truth towards that? There's got to be some truth, unless they don't speak at all, which I don't know what the relationship is like. It just doesn't make sense. So there must be some truth behind it. And as you've alluded to that, Keane, it would make sense. Like a lot of South American players do tend to go back to, the native homeland to finish their career. It's understandable as well to see a lot of players doing that. And look, Tevez did it as well, actually, now that I think about it. So Tevez and obviously he smashed it there. So look, I won't be surprised if it happens. I do think he's got more to offer, though, so I would personally keep him as well. But let's move on to another player that supposedly wants to leave, Bruno Fernandez. It's in another bit of rumor mill for me personally. I think it's just absolute nonsense, isn't it? Really, for me personally, I just think it's just a matter of he wants a pay rise, which is, he definitely deserves, given the fact that apparently he's earning less than Phil Jones, which to me is disgusting, to say the least. But Jerry, what are your thoughts on the Bruno Fernandez situation? Apparently the quotes coming out, if they are factual, is he'll only sign his contract when he's got 4 years left. I don't even know what it's about, but he'll only sign his contract if United show ambition. I do hope that bit's true, though, obviously.
Yeah, the money thing is actually funny, because when you think about it, at Sporting, I don't think he was on a lot. So for him to come to United, and then I think he's on 100k, it's an increase. But for me, I think Bruno knows the money will come, because obviously the stuff he's doing is only a matter of time that he'll get a bumper contract. Like you said with the ambition thing, I hope that's true, and it's funny how when he said that, and then the next day we go and do have a technical director and director of football, maybe that's all it linked in together. So yeah, Bruno, 200k, I think is even a bit low for what he's done for the club already. Obviously, he ain't won trophies in that, but his output, his numbers, he deserves. If anyone deserves a pay rise, it's him.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Yeah, and I said in the group chat, I think the Sun brought this news, which I think, like Kojo said as well, wherever they put it, I ain't believing any word of it, because it just came out of the blue. How could, like, it's not like we're 10th or, we're second in the league. I get it, we're way behind City, but we can still win 2 trophies. I think in the summer, obviously with the news, like I said, with the technical director and director of football, I think this summer we're moving in the right direction. So all that news about him once he's not gonna sign and whatever, I think it's just a bunch of lies. And like I said, the money will come, and he's just waiting his time, man.
Yeah, no, the money definitely is warranted, given his sort of contribution. To be honest, the fact that Phil Jones is still earning any form of money is an absolute disgrace. So
Matt Judge.
Oh my God, just take his wage off him and just give it to Bruno, because I forgot he's at the club. But Ibrahim, what do you reckon? What are your thoughts on the whole matter? Do you think there's any truth in this whole Bruno Fernandez might leave, etc.? Or do you agree with what Jerry is?
In terms of the stories, I think stories about Man United players always come out in the media because we're the biggest club in England, obviously the most talked about club in England. So those kind of stories will always come out with our big players. Yeah. But aside from the stories, I think with Bruno, obviously he's here to win trophies, and we just have to keep strengthening the team around him, because if, say, we don't win a trophy this season and then we go on to next season and for some reason we don't get a trophy, then I think Bruno will be obviously closer to the exit door. But I'm confident this season we'll get a trophy and obviously push on next season and make signings and obviously push on and challenge for the title.
Yeah, I hope you're right, bro. Just a quick update on the Man City score, because
I'm watching it, man.
It's
mad.
Madness.
5-2, bro.
5-2.
Have the game on the background, but I forgot they were playing, to be fair. But
I saw it was 1-1.
Yeah, literally 5-2. There's been so it was 3-1 in the 48th minute, and then the 55th minute, it was 4-1 to City, and then Southampton scored in the 46th, and then 56, sorry, and then De Bruyne scored in the 59. So there's been 3 goals in 5 minutes. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, obviously, look, the title's gone. We know that. I just had a bit of glimmer of hope, I'm not going to lie, when Ward-Prowse made it 1-1, and I was like, maybe the drop points. But obviously, Man City completely eradicated any hope. But yeah, kid, moving away from the Bruno Fernandez, let's talk about AC Milan. Of course, there's been a lot of There's been a lot of news regarding their injury crisis. But let's first of all talk about our team. Marcus Rashford is out of the game. What are your thoughts regarding us going into this game?
Looking at this game, obviously both teams have their injury problems. Obviously we've the likes of Pogba, Van de Beek, Cavani, Rashford out. But you look at AC Milan side, lads, they have a lot of integral players to their style of play out. Like the Zlatan, like the Theo Hernandez, like the Rebic, the likes of all them are out. Yeah. And that's just a few I named off. I can't pronounce the couple of other names out there.
Bentico's out as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and Calanigo or something. I think that's the name. Calanigo. Yeah. He's out as well. So a lot of first team players out for them, and Theo Hernandez is a massive part of how they go forward on that left hand side. Which for us, I think, in that regard, he would have been someone who would nullify Dan James or Mason Greenwood on that right wing. So absolutely. For me to see them out is a plus. Obviously Marcus being out, seeing the way he can exploit space against the team, against AC Milan, who do have a quite slow back four, and Diogo Dalot back there, and Alessio Romagnoli. You look at that and you say, Marcus would have been a player who could have exploited AC Milan.
That's exactly what I was saying the other day as well, but I was so good that he's injured.
Yeah, it's mad now, because obviously Dan James obviously gets another start, which I'm not going to knock him at the moment. He's played fantastically well. But as the United Ray said in the comment there, massive game from Mason Greenwood. Big club, AC Milan, massive history. This is a massive fixture in Europe. It's not in the Champions League, albeit, but the eyes are going to be on this game. And look, if we can get the win tomorrow, the fact they have so many injuries and Zlatan being out as well, I think we should try put this game to bed now. First leg, get a couple of goals, avoid them getting an away goal, and then look, we can actually kind of take another view with the league then that so we might have to rest a couple of players in the second leg, because obviously cementing that second leg at the moment, that second place at the moment is the priority. I think you have to look at that and get the Europa League to sewn up. I think we have to do that too. But I think try win this game the first leg so we don't have as much pressure in that second leg.
Yeah, no, I think I completely agree with that. I think, pardon me, you listed the injuries that they've got. Of course, we know the injuries we've got. Pogba is still not back. Van der Beek is still not back. I don't understand the situation with Van der Beek. I'm sure he's been in training for like 2 weeks now. If I'm tripping,
injured from sitting on the bench.
I know, but I know exactly, but he's been in training like a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know even what the situation with him is. But obviously, we know Rashford picked up the injury in the last game. Milan, rightfully, as you said, for me personally, if I'm Oliver at home as well, we've got to go for the kill this game, Jerry, surely.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, just like Keane said, I think with the injuries they have, I know we got a lot of injuries, but our squad's better than theirs, obviously. So for me, Old Trafford, we have to. I'm playing a strong team, the strongest team possible. Not really fussed about changes like bringing Tellers in, and obviously the keeper picks itself. Obviously with the hair still in Spain and whatnot. But yeah, man, we need to just put them to the sword and keep the clean sheet. We got West Ham on Sunday, so let's just get this game done. I think the next leg's next week, innit, right? So and then we got international break, I think. So yeah, man, let's just put them to the sword, man. I know James been playing well. Greenwood, like you said, massive game for him. Like, we need to get him firing again, because post lockdown we saw a glimpse of what he can do, and this season it hasn't really gone his way. But I think now with Rashford out, huge miss. But with James playing well, Mason on the right, cutting in the shoot, Martial's come hit form at the right time with the injuries that we have now. And then the midfield, obviously, Fred, the less said about him, the better, because that last game, man, yeah. Scott,
I don't really know about Fred's passing.
Like you said about before you go to Ibrahim, like you said about Dalot, for me, obviously I want him to have a bad game, but I want to see, like, I haven't really watched him, in Syria. Has he improved, or like can he cross still? Like, because Wan-Bissaka, for me, my views on him, his water feet. Like, we have to see Dalot. It's not like him. It's just not sold. No.
I'm just wondering.
It's just on the ball. Like, I would like to. Obviously, I hope, like I said, he has a bad game, but it will be interesting to see how Dalot performs if it's James on that side, or if Martial plays on the left and then Mason goes up front, James on the right. Who knows? But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I think we should comfortably get the win tomorrow.
Yeah, no, Ibrahim, you've heard what the guys have said. My question to you is, how do you think we can cause them problems? For me personally, just to obviously throw out there is, and I said this I can't remember if it was on Monday's podcast or Tuesday's, but in fact Tuesday yesterday, wasn't it? I don't know what day of the week is. I must have said it on Monday that my personal thought is their defense is so slow. Lukaku was blitzing them when they beat him not so long ago, and he was just causing havoc in both games, to be fair. Like, Ibrahim, where do you think we can cause them most problems?
Yeah, obviously with their defense not having too much pace. I think with Mason Greenwood and Martial, there's obviously the debate who plays up front. But in terms of exploiting them in the back, I think that means Martial would have to play up front. Because if we do play balls like Bruno plays balls in behind their defence, I think Martial obviously would be quicker than Greenwood. And having Greenwood on the right, James on the left, or whatever, we'll just exploit them on the wings. And yeah, in terms of, we can't also underestimate their attack, because they have Rafael Leao, who is a decent striker. He's fast, but if we play Bailly, then I think that would nullify their attack as well. And in terms of Diego Dalot, I don't know what type of player he is. I don't know why in my mind I'm thinking about Cancelo and how Pep transformed Cancelo into that kind of inverted wing right back. I don't know if with Dalot, if he possibly could be someone like that, because he obviously has the technical ability better than Wan-Bissaka, but
way better
tomorrow. How he's improved.
Yeah, no, listen, in terms of Dalot, look, he's had a couple of decent games of late, so of course we know he's going to start. He's coming into it with a personal confidence. My always sort of concern, obviously, I look to your answers, defensively, he's not good enough. Like in a 1v1 defensively, of course he's still young, he can improve that aspect of his game, but I think it's Kojo who always says it on the show. You're a defender, first and foremost, defend. And I think unless he's crossing in that trend, you can't really put a case for him to say, oh, well, he offers X, Y, Z going forward. Because at the moment, he's not consistently been providing that for me personally. But in terms of our individual players, Keane, so it's quite evident Martial's going to be playing. Obviously, we'll get everyone's lineup shortly. How important is it for Martial to carry on? You know, Jerry said his form. I wouldn't class it as form. As
not form, but
game.
Yeah.
So how important is it that he builds on that performance against City tomorrow?
I think like Martial, coming back into form, especially this time this season when we're coming towards the run-in, is massively, massively needed. Like, like last season when we came back from the lockdown, like he was arguably our best player, along with Bruno Fernandez. Then he was banging in goals for fun, though he was linking up play. He was doing everything a number 9 should do. Obviously, this season, he's kind of had a bit of a crisis with confidence. There's been all different things happening. None of our front three have really fired, probably other than Rashford at the stage of the season. Obviously, Bruno's behind them, who's been scoring goals for fun. But I think looking at that game against Manchester City, that couldn't have happened at a better time, especially with the injuries. Rashford obviously getting injured on Sunday. Cavani being out. Now, Martial, like this is it. Ollie should basically wrap his arm around him now and say, like, look, we're coming towards the run-in now. Big game against City. You've done fantastically well. Big game against Milan. This is your chance to cement yourself as our number 1, number 9 for the rest of the season. This is your chance. And I think if Martial can develop any resemblance of form that he had at the end of last season, we have a very good chance of winning the Europa League and the FA Cup and cementing that second place, because Bruno's been on form all season. We've Paul Pogba to come back as well, which I think when Paul Pogba between the Leipzig game, the time we went top the league, he was our best player. He was absolutely fantastic. And for him to come back into this team for the run-in will be massive. And if you have the likes of Bruno and Pogba on form who can feed Martial in the ball, and he can be on form, put him away, I think as a club we can benefit from that massively.
Yeah, no, I was listening to what you're saying then. I was kind of thinking, it's kind of deja vu to an extent. Because at this time last year, it was exactly the same scenario, apart from Martial was actually scoring. In terms of the selection, there was like Greenwood, James, and Martial up top, because Rashford got injured, didn't he, for like 2 months last season. And it was practically Bruno and Martial carrying us, because, Bruno and Martial were doing that link up, he scored that goal against City and whatnot. And it seems like he needs to kind of sort of find his feet again. And I hear what you're saying. It's up to Ollie now to obviously try and get it out of him. But my motivation for him it's very straightforward for me with Martial. Look, at the end of the day, you've had a bit of taste of what it's like to play for the France national team of late. At the back of last season, he was getting into the internet. Okay, he wasn't starting, but he was in the squad, something he's not had for a long time. France have got a good chance of winning the Euros this year, as we all know. If you're not fixing up, you're not going to be on the plane. It's as simple as that. So it's up to you to show, obviously, what you're made about, why you should be playing for the French national team. And at the end of the day, he's got to look at himself and think, I haven't been good enough this season. And he's lucky that Cavani is injured, because if Cavani was fit and he was still firing the way he was, he wouldn't get this 5th opportunity to prove himself. And that's coming from a huge Martial fan. But obviously, Jerry, I'll ask you regarding the midfield. Ibrahim, in terms of Martial, what are your thoughts regarding the matter? Obviously, you've heard what myself and Keenan said. Is it a matter of he kind of always needs to repay the fans because he just hasn't been nowhere near good enough?
I think with Martial, obviously the performance against City in the last game has shown that he wants to perform. But why is it just a big game? Why is it just the City game why he's performing? That's the question as fans that we want to know. And we just want to see the form from last season. If he was consistent from the end of last season going into this season, we wouldn't be talking about this. But I think it comes down to bringing Cavani. Obviously, we would have thought bringing Cavani would give Martial the motivation to compete or do better in that position. But it seems like it's done the opposite. It seems like he's been sad that his position has been taken, or we don't believe in him, or for whatever reason. And I think that mentality just needs to, I don't know, it's hard to say that he just get rid of that mentality, but something about Martial that over like the time he's been at Man U that he hasn't got over it also happened when his shirt number got taken by Ibrahimovic, and Martial's form dipped as well.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that from the Man City game, he's got confidence and he'll push on and score tomorrow, and then we'll just keep going from there.
Yeah, no, the mentality thing seems to be an issue in Martin in particular, well, alongside a lot of the players within the team. Moving on to the midfield, Jerry, your favourite topic, before we get everyone's team lineups and the score predictions. Listen, talk to me. McFred's most likely going to start again tomorrow. I'm sure you're absolutely buzzing to have both of them boys in the midfield pulling the strings.
Nah. For me, Fred's performance in the derby, unforgivable. On the ball, I'll say. So for me, I'm dropping him. I'm bringing in Matic, and I'm playing him.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm bringing him and Scott in the midfield for me. Like, Fred, fam, he can't pass a ball 5-10 yards. Like, come on, man. Brazilian, come on, man. Why can't you pass? Like, he does all the interceptions, and he gets the ball, and it's like, you get too excited. Just do what you're good at. Pass it to the Brunos, the forward players, and then Bob's your uncle. But for me, yeah, I'm bringing in Matic, man. I think obviously we got a game on, was it Sunday, and then the return leg. If it's like you've won that comfortably, then you can come in again. But yeah, just gonna touch on the Martial thing. For me, Martial, confidence player, man. Like that game against City, he went back to basics. Like he was feeling himself. Like, because one time who did he skin? Was it Rodri in the middle? Like,
bullied him. Yeah,
I'm thinking,
him.
Martial, he's feeling it today. Obviously, the chance where he should have scored, man. I really hope he scored, because that's the only thing I was missing in that performance. The goal.
Well, we had Benji said that he should have scored the header as well. Do you remember?
The header was a bit. The ball was with no power.
There was literally no power on the cross.
And like you said, with the motivation thing, I get with the front stuff, but like you said, Cavani's out, Rashford's out now. So right now, you are our go-to guy, the senior player. Obviously, James and Greenwood are young. You are our, like, right now we're pinning all our like threats to you. So it's time to step up, man. And like I said in the last game, he did that. So hopefully this game, another performance, and hopefully you can add to the score sheet as well, man.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm just going to quickly get this comment up because it's cracking me up. If Ibra was playing tomorrow, would Marcel top shit at the end? That is a good question. That would be interesting to see what the sort of relationship is actually, given what you guys said, when he took his number. I think that definitely, haunted him to an extent. But just to come back on Fred, we've got to ask everyone. Keane, what do you reckon? Do you think Jerry's been too harsh? He's taken Fred out of his team. Surely he doesn't deserve to be dropped, does he?
Well, like, look, if it was up to me, I wouldn't play him. Like, because like he's not great, right? He's not great. And I'm gonna be nice here though about it. Like, Nemanja Matic is probably a technical better footballer than him, but his legs are gone. Like, I think that if he was a couple of years younger, he'd be a certain starter ahead of Fred. Hence why he did play ahead of him when Fred first came to the club. But I think if McFred is his tried and trusted, you should play Matic against Milan, because you're going to have more of the ball against Milan. Like, against West Ham, it's probably a more even game, more 50-50 and end-to-end game. So, because the Milan will probably sit up in a defensive manner. So, I think you have Matic there because Matic can help break the lines with the passes. It gives McTominay more license to go forward and get a goal, because he's done well doing that this season in terms of making runs into the box. So, like, I think, against Milan, you probably go with a Matic and McTominay, and obviously, the king himself in front from Bruno Fernandez, and that'd be a strong enough midfield though to beat AC Milan.
Yeah, no, I think the key thing for me, what you said there, was the McTominay having the license to join the attack. I've said it so many times on the previews. Like, I just don't understand why we play with two DMs. I don't get it. Like, I know, they're not specialists in DMs, in particular McFred, but against teams that don't offer much, and if we're controlling the game, surely you should have more license to commit more people forward. You've got to take that extra gamble if you want to score. And I think, as Jerry alluded to at the start of the podcast, like, we have to go for the kill this game. In fact, sorry, it's you actually, kid. We have to go for the kill. We have to win the game 3-0. We have to, because they've got so many injuries. The players that you mentioned, you'd say all of them start realistically.
Yeah.
There's not one that I can think of that doesn't start from that list. Like, obviously, feel free to correct me in the chat, but in terms of what we got going forward, Ibrahim, like, you heard what the guys are saying in midfield. What are your thoughts with the midfield? The situation with Fred, with Tomine, Matic, which midfielder are you going for alongside Bruno?
Yeah. Well, in terms of Fred, he's a player that I'm always questioning his ability every single episode on my channel. Every single episode.
I'm gonna start tuning in 100%.
Yeah, but with Fred, the thing is with Fred, he does turn up in European games, and I have to give him that. PSG, obviously the last Real Sociedad, he turns up in those games. I think with European games, there's less pressure, there's more space, there's more time on the ball compared to the Prem, where people like you heard. I think Troy Deeney said they prey on Fred's touch because they know his touch is not good enough. And he's going to get dispossessed. But
he said that how long ago, and it's still happening.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the same Fred. It's the same Fred.
Surely that clip. Imagine someone saying that about one of your players, right? As a manager, you say, you're going to let man say this about you. Like, and then Fred like, I ain't taking that shit. Like, let me go and, practice my touch, improve it. Man just stayed the same.
Yeah, but in terms of, obviously, the formation, we don't play with one DM because we don't have a specialized DM. That's obviously a signing we need to make in the summer. So Oli just decides to play two because obviously he doesn't trust having one. And I totally agree with that because
Ibrahim, what about this as a comment? Axel as a utility in my next
no.
Not in CDM. I don't think Axel really has the technical ability.
Axel looked lost when he came on CDM the other day. He looked proper lost. He didn't know what to do.
Yeah. So I think it will be McFred tomorrow. Matic may come on late in the game. I don't think he would start Matic if we need to get the win. I think it's better to start McFred and then bring on Matic towards the latter parts of the game once we've seen out probably the win. And yeah, I think the CDM position is what we need to strengthen if we want to play one and then push two centre mids forward and then just behind Bruno. All
right, say no more. All right, let's get everyone's lineups in. Obviously, you guys have all made your claim, so to speak, for midfield. Keane, we'll start with you first and foremost. Who's your 11? Who are you going for?
So, obviously, by process elimination, Dean Henderson in goal. For me, he's my number one anyway. Even when De Gea gets back, I think Henderson should be our number one. Right back, I go on Wan-Bissaka. I think this is massive that we do need to play our strongest back four in this game. So for me, I play Wan-Bissaka. A centre back alongside Harry Maguire, I'm going to go Eric Bailly because I think Milan still have a bit of pace up front. You need someone with a bit of pace back there. And Victor Lindelof has a back injury, so you can't play him 2 games in a week. If you're going to play him, you're going to play him Sunday. Give him a rest this Thursday. And a left back, the best left back in the league at the moment, Mr. Roberto Carlos. At left back. In my two midfielders, then behind Bruno, then I'm going to go Matic and I'm going to go Scott McTominay. And then up front, I'm going to go Greenwood on the right, Martial up top, and I'll go Dan James on the left.
All right. Honest to God, I'm not changing anything from what you've just said. I completely agree with everything you just said there. Especially Roberto Carlos, that was my personal favourite. I don't know who's made that up, but it's quality. Whoever's done that was like.
I seen it on Twitter like last week.
I've seen it everywhere. But
was it not Ty? I see it on Ty's thumbnail.
Ty didn't.
It wasn't him, no.
I've seen a lot of people post it, but I don't know who started it. But anyway, Cherry, what you saying? What's the team? You got any changes towards?
Yeah, I can't lie. That's exactly what I'm going for. I'm thinking did Shaw pick up a knock in the last game? Like he looked a bit.
Tellers potentially could start over Shaw.
Yeah, that's the only like change I'll make. But if Shaw's fit, I'm playing him, man. He's been on fire. If he's on form, why drop him? Continue to play him, get him more assists, even goals if he could add to that. So yeah, man, I'm going to the same exact team as Keane said, man.
Say no more. Ibrahim, what are you saying?
No, I'm going with McFred in midfield. I think Matic will come on later in the game, but to start off with, I think McFred.
Okay, fair enough. Listen, again, the McFred thing for me personally, right? The reason I wouldn't play them is because of the whole point of us controlling the game. And as the guys have already alluded to, including yourself, Fred can't pass to save his life. Like, he really can't. Like, it's actually woeful. But on the flip side, European night, more time on the ball. The Italian league tends to be quite slow. It's not as he doesn't need to worry about people pressing, so hopefully like more. I think is Tonali injured as well. I heard Tonali is injured as well, or is he fit? I don't know.
I haven't heard now if he's injured now. I hope. I never wish injury on anyone, but I hope he's not playing. I hope he's not playing. He's a very good midfield player.
Yeah, no, Tonali, obviously, he's going to
No, he's not. He's not in the squad. He's not in the squad.
Yes, yeah, I thought he was injured. Tonali. Yo, we don't win this game.
We have to bang them.
They've got nobody fit. Like, obviously, with all due respect to the players that are playing, but no one that should be causing us problems, man. Let's get everyone's score predictions in. Keane, we'll start with you first, bro. Everyone in your chat, get your score prediction in. Keane, what are you saying?
I'm going to go 3-0 Manchester United. I'm going to go Mason Green with the score. I'm going to go for a Bruno brace. And just to appease all my favourite Tottenham and Arsenal fans, it's going to be another penalty.
Honestly, God, I don't know why it's so solid. He's had Lampard never scored a pen in his life, but it is what it is. Jerry, what are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, again, same score, man. I hope Martial gets on the score sheet this time.
Martial needs the goal. It really does.
Yeah, Bruno, Bruno does Bruno things. And Mason, man, I think, like you guys said before, this is a big game for him. We ain't seen him score in a long time. So should the chance arrive, he should bury it. So, yeah, man, I'm going 3-0 United.
Kessie is a decent player as well, but our base. Game score prediction, we've got 2-0 from James and the United way. Last but not least, Ibrahim, what's the score prediction, brother?
Yeah, I'll probably say 2-0. I think
not 2-0 as well.
Martial and Bruno to score.
All right, say no more. I'm going to go 3-0 as well. Martial hat-trick, why not? I get him to 10 goals. You love to see it. And then I can start pushing the Martial agenda back again. You love to see it. But listen, I just want to say a massive thank you to our guests. As always, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this back on repeat, get your score predictions down in the comment section before we go. As always, Keane, starting with yourself, bro. Where can the people find you?
So you can find me on my Twitter handle there at Keane_Franey for all your Bruno Fernandez propaganda 24/7. And also you can catch me over in the weekly armchair.
Bruno Fernandez propaganda is 24/7 as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, it literally is. And also you can catch me over at the weekly armchair kickoff podcast. We're live at 9 p.m. and with our Manchester United versus AC Milan preview there. So do catch us over there if you want.
No worries. Thank you for coming on, Jerry. Where can the people find you, bro?
Yeah, if you take the comment off my hand, my Twitter handle on the screen as well. So it's Jerry UTD_ on the Twitter and obviously on YouTube, United Team Talk. Obviously, we just wrapped our preview, so if you guys can check that out and subscribe, that'd be greatly appreciated. And yeah, man, Usmaan, again, thank you for having me on all the time, man. It's always a pleasure. Subscribing that. Yeah.
Yes. Last but not least, where can the people find you, bro?
Yeah, on Instagram and Twitter _Ibs7_ and my YouTube, All Things Football. If you want to hear more about Fred's bad touches, his consistent shooting, only clapping him when he shoots, you know where to find it. You know where to find it. So yeah, thank you, Usmaan, for today. And yeah,
no worries, bro. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. As always, check me out, Usmaan Talks United on Twitter. Obviously, if you want to get a part of the fan calling show, we'll be back straight after the game. Opportunity for you guys to call in. Have your say basically regarding the game, win, draw, or lose. If you haven't checked on the last fan calling show, on me slapped up Man City. Everyone was in good spirits. Trust me, you want to watch some. It was good vibes. But apart from that, it's been your boy. We'll be back tomorrow with a watch along. It's been an absolute pleasure. Leave your score predictions